Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana. Innaka antal alimul hakim. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Nigeria is a very confusing place. It's a very confusing place, yes. Okay. I'll try. Do you guys agree with this? Allahu Akbar. So I'm not lying, yeah? Yet you fall in love with it. Like it's very confusing, place to visit, but it's beautiful at the same time. It's like going to Wuse market on a very busy day, I've been learning in the past few days, reading about things and hearing things around, and I note a few things down that I want to share with you, and I want you to confirm if these things are common here in Nigeria, right? So I saw this thing, it's very interesting. Hear the smell. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Strange word. Nigeria, I love you for the sake of Allah. I can't get into the mood of drugs anymore, It feels like I'm already high. I want to see some hands. How many of you agree that drug addiction in our society, in our community, is prevalent? How many of you agree to that? Just raise up your hand, inshallah. Don't be shy. Nobody's gonna judge you. Mufti Mink is not here. So, alright. I heard something that actually shocked me a bit, and that is married women in particular. That's what they told me, I'm not picking on women, yeah? But that's what I was told. And married women, sometimes they mix soft drinks with cough medicine, prescribed medicine, to use it as drugs. Do you guys have any, do you resonate? Do you recall something happening here in Nigeria? Some hands, not much. So maybe they lied to me. But the point is, it's available, it's there, it's happening. Alright. Now, can I hear Inna Lillahi? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given our body as an amana. I want to tell you something very personal that made me really feel that every single individual should never take life for granted. I'm not sure if you heard about my condition a couple of years ago when I lost my mobility and I couldn't walk for a year. And I was nearly paralyzed from the waist down. I couldn't feel anything. And subhanallah al-azim, I was so despondent, so depressed, so sad, so angry. I wanted to walk again. I wanted to do all the stuff that I used to do before this incident. And the only thing that reminded me to live according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given me was one ayah that we all know by heart. In fact, this ayah we just recited together a while ago. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We belong to Allah, and to Him we will return. What does that mean? It means that your entire being is not yours. So how could you take that for granted and abuse it and inhale things that can damage your body? I want to teach you something about addiction, inshallah, and I want to make a distinction between addiction and attachment. Because many people sometimes come to me and tell me, brother, we are addicted, but we are addicted to the Quran. Or I'm addicted to the masjid. When we use the word addiction, it is always used in the negative sense. Remember this. Anytime you say I'm addicted, it means that you're addicted to something that's harmful. And its impact is harmful on your behavior, on your psyche, on your health, on people around you. I don't remember how many times I heard about a divorce case because of addiction, whether to substance or to even behavior like gaming, pornography, and other vices on the internet. I don't remember how many times. In fact, according to some statistics from 2006. See how many years ago? They say that 56% of divorce cases happen because one of the partners was addicted to pornography. Let alone how many more divorce cases are taking place in our time because of drug abuse. Because drugs is more deadly, right? So Allah had given our body as an amana. So how could we abuse that which is not ours? This is dishonesty. You know? You are abusing that which is pure. You're inhaling something which you know is dangerous. And once you're hooked on it, inna lillahi, again, wa inna ilayhi raji'un, because once you're hooked on it, you're out of control. What happens in our brain, my brothers and sisters in Islam, is that once you inhale something, and if you experience something good, you felt nice, then an immediate pathway is created in your brain for that specific activity. And that pathway will always remind you to repeat the activity again and again. And certain hormones will be produced in the process to actually force you to repeat the activity. How many of you here have heard of a man by the name of Matthew Perry? An actor who passed away just recently. This actor was very famous, right? I see that, mashallah, you're into sitcom and movies and Allahu Akbar. Yeah? I know. And this guy was addicted since the age of 14. And he died at the age of 54, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 50 plus. And this man, according to the standards of common people, he was supposed to be the happiest man, or one of the happiest men on earth. Why? Because he used to earn, simply because he used to earn $1 million a week. How much is your salary, sister? $1 million a week for minimum of 7 years. Every season, 30, 40 episodes, each episode $1 million. Millionaire, if not billionaire. Right? Yet, he was addicted to alcohol and pills, chemicals, prescribed drugs, painkillers and whatnot. Now, why am I telling you this story? Because if you read his biography, he mentioned that the only reason that made him hopeful and made him happy was not actually the money, was not the fame, but he has this group of actors around him that made life much easier. Now again, why am I telling you this? I'll take you now to the story of one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whose name was Abu Mihjan al-Thaqafi radiyallahu anhu wa arda. Abu Mihjan al-Thaqafi radiyallahu anhu wa arda, may Allah be pleased with him. He was an alcoholic. He was a person who's addicted to alcohol. Before Islam, before he embraced Islam, he wrote in his last will to his children that when he is buried, he wants his grave to be soaked with wine, so that his bones can be, nourished with alcohol. This is severe addiction we're talking about. He embraced Islam after that, and he met the Prophet ﷺ for a period of time, and he could not quit drinking. And he was lashed as a result of this several times. The Prophet ﷺ passed, came Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu arda, and he drank again, and he was lashed again as a punishment. Came Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu arda, and the same story repeated. He was addicted on a higher level. Until one of the battles, Al-Qadisiyah, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu arda was the head of the army at that time, and the battle took place, and he was caught drinking again. So Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu arda, he took him nearby in his home, and he tied him up. He tied him up in a pole, and he told his family members, keep an eye on him. He will never be given the opportunity to fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so stay here. And he's He kept on weeping and crying until the wife of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu arda heard his weeping. So she went up, what's up? He said, please, let me go. I will fight with the Muslims. And I will come back. And I will tie myself up. And whatever Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu arda wanted to punish me with, I am ever ready. So she sensed his sincerity. And I wanted to pause here for a minute before I continue the story of Abu Mihjan al-Thaqafi radiallahu anhu arda. My brothers, my sisters in Islam, perhaps you have seen a person who's addicted, whether to substance or to anything that is evil, and you consider that person to be outcast, perverted. You didn't want to have anything to do with him because of his addictions. We need to show some compassion and love for those people, because otherwise where are they going to go? They will be on the streets begging for money to survive. We need to show support. So when you sense person's sincerity, help him. So she untied him. And he took the horse of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. The name of the horse was Al-Balqa. And he covered his face. And he mounted the horse. And he fought like the bravest and the most courageous warrior ever. Everyone was looking from afar, asking themselves, who is this brave man? Even Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas was looking at his horse. And he was saying, Ad-Dabru al-Balqa, Dabru al-Balqa. The movement of the horse is the same style as Al-Balqa, my horse. وَالطَّعْنُ طَعْنُ Abi Mihjan. And the striking, the fighting style is the style of Abu Mihjan al-Thaqafi radiallahu anhu arda. وَأَبُو مِحْجَنْ فِي الْقَيْدِ. But Abu Mihjan, I tied him up by myself, so he's not around. So who's this man? He fought, and he was one of the reasons why the Muslims won that battle. And as he promised the wife of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu arda, he returned back and he tied himself up. Let me pause again, because we need to take lessons from this. My brothers and sisters in Islam, if you are addicted to substance, you need to be locked down. You need to be restricted. You need to find a rehabilitation center. If you can't afford rehabilitation centers, or if they don't exist in this part of the world, you need to be restricted within your home. You need to tell your family members to tie you up. I visited rehabilitation centers in different parts of the world, drug rehabilitation centers, and they took me to very severe wards where I have seen by my own eyes people are being handcuffed in the bed. Because once you let them, with a little bit of freedom, their addiction will overtake their actions and behaviors, and in no long time they will relapse. Read the book of Matthew Perry. He will tell you how many times he cheated while he is in the rehabilitation center. He could afford it. Millions of dollars could not help him. Why? Because he was always isolated. No wife, just living a life of luxury. And whenever he wanted to do the drugs, he will just call the dealers. He have the money, he have the means. May Allah protect us all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save our lives from such vices. We're Muslims, my brothers and sisters in Islam. Being addicted means you're enslaved to something other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the point now of standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day saying, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, or إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. You alone, Ya Allah, we worship, we enslave ourselves to you, Ya Allah. قالوا سمعنا وأطعنا. We heard the command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we obey. That's who we are as Muslims. We are simply the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How could you become a slave of something else? Something like the creation of Allah, like those drugs. How could you enslave yourself to such things? But if you have fallen into it, do not ever give up on yourself. Go and seek the necessary treatment. Abu Mihjan al-Thaqafi was so sincere that he tied himself up because he knew once he is set free, he will go and find a bottle. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas ran back home to check on Abu Mihjan al-Thaqafi, only to find him being tied up, but he was wounded everywhere. So he knew that it was him who was fighting bravely in the battlefield. So he came closer and he asked him, was it you? Was it Al-Balqa, my horse? He didn't speak, it was his daughter, the daughter of his wife, who actually told him that this will happen. So he hugged him and he told him, Wallahi, I will never lash you after this day. I will never punish you anymore. Now, let me pause here, because some people will think that if this is the punishment set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas to relax it? He was not referring to this. He was saying, since you have quit and you are sincere, then you will never be punished. You will be welcome now. We will support you. We will assist you. This battle was in Ramadan. And Abu Mihjan al-Thaqafi, upon hearing what Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas mentioned, he said, and from me, from my side, Wallahi, I will never touch alcohol again. And ever since, after years of battling this addiction, he was able to overcome his addiction. So overcoming addiction is absolutely possible. But are you willing to tie yourself up? Are you willing to handcuff yourself for a little while? I get a lot of clients who are addicted to cell phones, pornography, and other online, issues like gaming, like social media, online shopping. Anyone into online shopping here? It's a big thing. Wallah, it's a big thing. Even if you're not buying, you became addicted to searching for products and putting them in the bag, putting them in the bag. Add to cart. Maybe when I have the money, I'll buy. And those people, when I tell them you have to restrict yourself from internet usage, they run away. They want a magical pill. Take this and you'll be alright. But actually, to battle addiction, it's not an easy ride. We have to understand this. So are you willing to go to that extra mile to restrict yourself for 1 year at least? To restrict yourself 1 year at least. Your wife, if you're married, need to know where you are, what you're doing. Your phones must be monitored. Everything under surveillance until you are clear. Until you are, inshallah ta'ala, sober. But once you are left alone, can you imagine leaving an alcoholic alone in a hotel room with a bar and telling him, don't drink, otherwise it's haram. He's addicted, he's out of control. Right, my brothers and sisters, are you with me? Are you with me? Now look at the person next to you, inshallah, and tell them, I want you to look at the person next to you and tell them, everything's gonna be alright. Because Nigerian always say, it will be alright. It's gonna be alright, brother. What is it? I don't know, but don't worry. MashaAllah. When I came here for the first time, before coming here, they told me Nigerians don't smile. And wallahi, when I walked down the streets, everyone was smiling. I said, these people are lying. They told me a lot of things bad about Nigeria. And when I come here, I made a video. And I said, those people who were preventing me from coming to Nigeria, you are missing out. Wallahi, I told them you're missing out. One of the best countries I've ever been to. And, mashallah, victory. Wallahi, beautiful. To an extent, I'll tell you a secret about one ummah. Do you want to hear a secret about one ummah? Who's that? Who's this guy? You know, one ummah, the plan was to have a conference in Lagos for 1 weekend, and then another conference in Abuja another weekend. So the stay is too long, right? Like for speakers like us coming from overseas and all that, I have to be outside for 12 days. So it's too long. For me, I love it. Now they want to shorten it. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. I will not forgive you, brother Abu Bakr. I'm not. Now, because of the time, inshallah, just let me give you few verses from the Quran about addiction in general, and then the rehabilitation from a societal perspective, like what can we do? Because I'm not a medical, doctor. Anyone who is on cocaine and heroin and these hard drugs, walayadu billah, may Allah protect us all, you need to actually seek out a professional help, a medical help. You can't just listen to a lecture and note down tips and take it to your husband. Oh, you're addicted, listen to Sheikh Wael. No, it doesn't work this way. You need to seek professional and medical help. But any other drugs that are less than that, there are societal support that can actually benefit you, which we'll talk about inshallah. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran. And let me just pull out the notes inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before anything, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dignified and honored the children of Adam. And He said that He carried them through the land and sea and provide for them from whatever they have wished for and that which they didn't even ask for. And then at the end, toward the end of the ayah, and said, and we have favored them above every other creation. So who's the favorite creation in the sight of Allah? Human beings. We are favored above animals and above any other creature. Now what made us special? Anyone can answer this? Absolutely. Why is that? Why we can do something that no other creature can do? Because we have the brain. We can think. We can differentiate between variety of options. We can say that that's right, that's wrong. We can reason. We can think. Animals don't think. I like to observe the life of two animals. Monkeys and crocodiles. I love crocodiles. Not because I want to be like a pet one or something, but I just observe crocodiles and look at how aggressive they are. In my opinion, it is, I think, the most aggressive animal on planet Earth. And I wanted to go to Darwin. It's a city in Australia where actually you can go down in a tube and be around crocodiles. I don't know, crazy stuff. But monkeys are, they say, they are the smartest or one of the smartest animals on planet Earth. Have you heard that before? The monkeys are so smart. Monkeys are so smart. Dogs are very smart. Dolphins, pigs even. They say some of the smartest animals. But let me give you now the bad news. These animals and any other animals, they are not smart at all. Whoever agreed with that statement, raise up your hand. If you don't agree, don't raise up your hand. Who agrees that animals are not smart at all, completely? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Okay, who believe that they are smart? Majority, Allahu Akbar, Inna Lillahi. So how can monkeys, for example, be smart if all of them have agreed to love banana? Yani, there is no monkey who say, no, I don't like banana, I need mango. Can you convince a monkey to favor mango over banana? Can you? Can you imagine? No. All of them, they love banana. And that's an evidence that they're not smart. Why is that so? Because Allah designed them to behave this way. They don't have the intellect that you and I have. Whether you observe, they do things in great, manner, and you think, wow, they are so smart. But they're not. This is how Allah created them to behave. But you know halal and you know haram. They don't. Do you think Allah will punish crocodiles for eating people on the day of judgment? Why did you bit this man? Why did you take the arm of this man? Do you think? No. Allah will not punish them. Allah will not ask them. Why? Because they don't have the intellect. Similarly, if a human being lost the ability to think rationally, then Allah will not question him about his action. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said what? لَيْسَ عَلَى الْمَجْنُونِ حَرَجٍ. A person who have lost his sanity, there is no blame on him anymore. Allahu Akbar. Now that very brain, you're damaging it when you take these drugs. The very religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was revealed to protect 5 areas in our lives. One of them is your intellect, progeny, your wealth, your life, your family. These are the maqasid al-sharia, we call it, or the main objectives of the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how could you damage it by your own self? And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, إِنَّمَا الْخَمْرُ وَالْمَيْسِرُ وَالْأَنصَابُ وَالْأَزْلَامُ رِجْزٌ مِّنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. Now most certainly, al-khamr. What does al-khamr mean? Have you heard the word khimar? What is khimar? The ladies, they cover everything. Al-khamr comes from the same root, which means what? To cover or to cloud your brain. I was once on an airplane and someone was drunk. As soon as the plane took off, he stood up all of a sudden and he started walking. Everybody said, sit down, sit down, sit down. Then he dropped all the way on the floor. People ran, the flight attendants, they took him to the business class area. They sat him down, they buckled him up. Upon landing, while we were going down, I looked and the man was urinating on himself. Yes, that's how you behave when you lose the power of intellect that Allah had given you. That's how you behave. You become just like animal. You see? So Allah is telling us that anything that clouds the brain is haram. Don't ever believe those people who come to you and say, but cigarette, brother, does not cloud the brain. But cigarette is the gateway to harder drugs. How did you start drugs in the first place? Cigarette was the channel. This number one. Number two, cigarette. Is it harmful or is it healthy? Some people they say, brother, it's vegetarian. Wallahi, some people they say it's vegetarian. Is it harmful? Can you buy a pack of cigarettes without seeing a warning on it? It causes cancer, and they say now, smoking kills. Come and buy from our store. Look at this. So if it is something harmful, do you think Allah will allow it? Or make it makruh, like some people say makruh. It's makruh. Makruh, number one, makruh means it is hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's hated, it's disliked by Allah. I remember I met someone in a convention like this, and while I was walking out, he came to me and said, why did you tell the people cigarette is haram? I say, number one, I didn't say that. I was just saying what the scholars have said. He said, no, but don't tell them. I say, why, brother? It's makruh only, he said. I say, okay, do you smoke? I assume that you're smoking. He said, yes. I say, do you have a cigarette? Yes. Can you take one? Say, yes. Take one, please. So he took one, and he's looking at me. Say, put it in your mouth. So he put it on. Say, light it up. I say, can I do that? Say, yes, I'm the boss. Just light it up. So as he was about to light it up, I say, wait. Say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Because that's what we've learned, right? Before we do anything, we say what? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And after you finish smoking, I told him, say, Alhamdulillah who burned my lungs. And he realized on his own, no haram involved here, no halal, no discussion about this is haram, this is halal. But just logically, can you say Bismillah? No, you can't take the name of Allah with something you know is wrong. So Allah is telling us in this ayah, فَاجْتَنِبُوا. He's not saying it's haram, He's saying avoid it altogether. To an extent that the Prophet ﷺ had cursed 10 categories of people who have got anything to do with alcohol. He cursed them. In some narration, you're not allowed even to sit on a dining table where alcohol is served to others. Not to you. You're not going to drink, but alcohol is being served and some people are drinking, your friends maybe, and you're sitting on the table, they are drinking, you are not. You are cursed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can you imagine to what extent? When it comes to major sins in Islam, Allah will not tell you it's haram. Allah will not tell you stop it. Allah will tell you avoid anything that does anything to do with it. Like zina. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about zina in the Quran, fornication, adultery. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Do not come closer to zina. So don't let Ahmad text you and say, Assalamu alaikum Khadija. How are you? Why you didn't come to the convention? Wallahi, you missed it. Sheikh Mufti Mink said this and that. Let me teach you. what they said. And then Khadija after a while, Ahmed, assalamu alaikum, you know. And then emojis. This is just messages. After a while, I miss you too, I love you too, I love you three, I love you four. Before you know it, just like Barsisa, the priest that the Prophet ﷺ talked about, from being one of the most well-known worshipper of his time to a person who committed zina, murder and shirk all together. So what are we doing to ourselves, my brothers and sisters in Islam? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying in this that alcohol or any intoxicant, anything that clouds your brain, gambling, fortune telling and whatnot. Anyone here into zodiac signs in Nigeria? Do you guys have zodiac signs here? Raise up your hand if this is something common here. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi. Some, not many, alhamdulillah. May Allah protect us all. Be careful. All these things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, it is from shaitan's handiwork. So abstain from that handiwork so that you become successful in life. Now coming to the recovery quickly, inshallah, because we're running out of time. There's Asr break, inshallah ta'ala. I will focus on the essentials, the base of recovery and rehabilitation, inshallah. 4 areas that needed to be, inshallah ta'ala, in place if you wanted to quit any sort of addiction, with exceptions, as I mentioned, to hard drugs that require a higher discipline to deal with, and also injecting certain medication into the person's body, because the withdrawal symptoms could be deadly in some cases. May Allah protect us all. Say Ameen. So the first thing is a stage that I call environmental invasion. What is it? What is it? Shout at me. Environmental invasion means that you look at your environment and ask yourself, is my environment encouraging and conducive to Iman-driven activities, productivity, practicing the deen of Allah, or is it encouraging for something haram? For example, how many of you here have got cell phones? Raise up your hand. The men don't have cell phones. Allahu Akbar, mashallah. Men in Nigeria, they don't use cell phones. Yeah, they're very angelic beings, Mashallah. Now, how many of you, be honest, inshallah, yeah? How many of you, they take the cell phones or internet device into their bedrooms? How many of you hold the cell phone the first thing in the morning? As soon as you wake up, that's the first thing you touch. Allahu Akbar. And then we say we are not addicted, brother. See? Now, if someone is addicted to internet, whether pornography or other things, and the phone is in your hug all night, it's just there, do you think you will not relapse? Do you think you will be magically, okay or right on your own? Do you think Allah will send you some angels to prevent you from using the phone? But if you restricted yourself and made a policy that phones will be outside the bedroom all night, your children grow up in that culture, they will adapt. They will understand that no internet devices are to be used in isolation. This is a weapon that many parents give their children, weapons. To an extent that today in some parts of the world, 1 in 10 porn users on the internet is under the age of 10. May Allah protect us all. So we have to invade our environments and look around and clean it and make it protected. Once you protect your environment, new actions will be born. Once these actions are born, what will happen in our brain? Your brain will adapt. Allah created this piece of, flesh, our brain, subhanAllah, with the ability to adapt and to remold itself, or reshape itself, and rewire itself to its original state if you introduce it, if you introduce to it the correct, activities. Second stage is structure. When the Prophet ﷺ, structure. When the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina, the first thing he did was building a masjid building a masjid, al-Masjid al-Nabawi, where that was the meeting place for the Prophet ﷺ and the early companions. It was place of worship, place of study, place of reading the Quran and ibadah. And it became so important in the heart of every believer in that time. Why? Because it was serving them as a protection from the outside world. The outside world used to worship stones and woods, and they were hostile to the Muslims and so on. So you have to have a structure in your life. You have to know exactly what you're going to do from the minute you wake up to the minute you sleep. Once you leave yourself to yourself, you are a loser. What does that mean? The Prophet ﷺ said, الشيطان مع الواحد وهو من الاثنين أبعد. Shaitan will be with the one, with the individual, and he's farther away from the two. So once you put things in perspective and you start applying these methods in your life, you know exactly from that time to that time, this is my life. This is how I'm going to, study, read, sport, going out, going to the masjid. Number three is the hardest one. And that is ignoring the pain associated with good actions. Ignoring the pain associated with good actions. Is there anyone here who we call nerd? Anyone here is a nerd person, like love to study, love to read all the time? Anyone here in Nigeria? Yes, I can see people are pointing at other people. Yes, sister, you are a nerd? Like a very good student, a very good, yeah? Anyone? Brothers? We're all nerd, brother, don't worry. Ask those people who love to study. Tell them, do you really enjoy the process? Do you enjoy the hours of studying and memorizing? Yes, you have passion to achieve something. You enjoy that. But do you really feel that it's easy task? Or is it absolutely difficult and require dedications? And sometimes you feel like you're giving up. True, false? Ask doctors who've gone through years of studies to become, to deserve that title, that honorable title of being a doctor in the society, right? Ask them, was it simple? Was it easy? No, it wasn't. So anything good that you wanted to achieve, remember that with it, there is a task. I was watching an interview of a footballer from England, Man City, who said that the suffering of training is too long. But once you win a trophy, all these sufferings are vanished. And what remains? The winning moment. The winning moment. So whenever you're doing something that you know is good, that you know it will achieve, that will help you achieve what you planned in life, and it is difficult, I know I need to leave, I know. Don't scare me, brother. I thought there is a jinn behind me. At one point, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. What's happening? Now wait, brother. Give me a minute, 2 minutes. I will wrap it up. He's coming now slowly. Every time he gives a step, I say, well, who's that guy? Khalas, I'm wrapping up. I know Asr time, we're releasing you very soon, inshallah. Don't worry. I'm enjoying this, brother. Come on. So, number one is what? Environmental invasion. Environments determine your actions. Remember this. Environment determines your action. Number two, have a structure in life, system in life to live by that will help you achieve what you want. Three, ignore the pain, the annoyance, the difficulties associated with good actions. And fourthly, and the most important one, is people. Involve people in your life to support you. If you are addicted to anything, it is nearly 100% of the time impossible for any individual to break free from the chain of addictions on themselves, on their own. You need to have a support system in place. If you are a husband addicted to anything, confess that addiction to your wife. If you are a wife, don't do the same and go to your husband because he might punch you in the face. Rather, You go to your family members, someone respected in the community that you trust, because men and women, they react to these things differently. So be careful, be wise, but find someone that you trust. The Prophet ﷺ said, and this is the best remedy. Remember, the best remedy comes from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Don't go too far. The Prophet ﷺ said, Al-mar'u ala dini khalileh. In another narration, Ar-rajulu ala dini khalileh. That a person will have the inclination to follow his best friend. فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِلْ. So be careful who your friends are. Show me your friends, and I will describe who you are exactly. May Allah protect us all from these vices. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us, bi'idhnillah, sobriety, those who are addicted, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us all, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, as He gathered us today in this dunya. May He gather us again, inshaAllah, in Jannatul Firdaus. Say Ameen.
Ameen.
And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save and protect our brothers and sisters in Palestine.
Ameen.
And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala return Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa in the hands of those who deserve it, and those are none but the Palestinians.
Ameen.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save our brothers and sisters in Gaza. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise their status to Jannatul Firdaus with the Anbiya, with the Siddiqeen, with the Shuhada. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us an entry to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa when it is in the hands of our brothers and sisters from Palestine. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. And can I hear together, inshallah, free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
I want to hear them, sister. Come on. Free, free Palestine! Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.